This is going to be a warm-up sequence that works for any aerial apparatus, whether you're a polar, aerial, straps, lyra, silks, any of the things, even if you're just warming up for your flexibility training. Okay, so with this, you don't have to have a pole, even though I'm demoing with a pole. You can adjust these stretches and some of the warm-up exercises we're going to do as needed. Okay, so for this, kind of a general rule of thumb with a warm-up is we just want to touch on every joint. Okay, we just want to make sure everything's working. Think of your warm-ups as you're trying to increase your body temperature to warm up your muscles. You're also trying to check in with your whole body. Maybe you've been sitting on the couch most of the day and you don't know that something's not quite right until you start to move it. You don't want to figure that out when you're up in the middle of a crazy trick. You want to feel that during your warm-up and be like, ooh, okay, I need to pay attention to that so that I don't injure myself. Okay, so this is my general warm-up. If there's a move that you're going into that requires increased flexibility, dynamic, things like that, that is an addition to this. This is my go-to warm-up I do before every training session. Okay, so we're going to start out by just rolling out shoulders. Shoulders, as many of you know, are one of the top injuries that we see with pole and airless because we use them and abuse them. Okay, so I'm just really thinking about making those circles as big as possible. Depending on how your shoulders are feeling, they might feel a little crunchy, a little sticky. You might start doing this and one shoulder feels a little, okay, so both shoulders, switch direction. With most of these exercises, it doesn't matter which side you start with, which direction you go in, just do both sides in both directions, okay? So as I'm doing these, I'm really thinking, open my chest, pull my shoulders forward, round my chest as I roll. Okay, then we're gonna take it to some big circles. With these, for those of you that are savvy with swimming, I'm basically doing a freestyle. I want to get this rotation because I'm not just warming up my shoulders. We use all of this in everything we do too. Okay, so big circles. Really think reach, reach. Okay, you're getting a little twist through the hips, a little rotation, your knees, your ankles, your hips. Everything is moving a little bit. And then turn it into a backstroke. I don't care which direction your palms are facing, if they're facing out, in. Not too concerned about that at this point. We're just focusing on this gross motor movement, which is large motor movement. Okay, then we're going to take it to some hip circles. If you're not 100% comfortable with hip circles, they can just be side to side. Doesn't have to be sexy, doesn't have to be pretty. This is a warm-up. Make it fugly. Nobody cares. Okay, so rolling out the wrists, hips. Okay, we use our wrists a lot in all things aerial. Switch direction. And once again, adding in those hip rotations. There's a lot of side to side and different ranges of motion that we might use in our everyday life that we use in our aerial activities. Okay, so just a few times each direction. Okay, from here, this part is optional. We're gonna add some squats with some full range of motion. If you are like gung-ho on your squats and you wanna turn these into a burpee, a jump squat, do you, boo. I'm gonna keep my feet on the ground, but like I said, some people like a little more aggressive warm-up. Preferably for me, I prefer to be warm by the end of my warm-up, but not exhausted. Okay, so we're gonna reach all the way back with our arms, all the way up. I don't care if your ribs open, I don't care if your back arches. What I do care about is that your knees are tracking over your toes, okay? So if you're doing this and your knees are going in like this, it might help you to slightly turn your toes out a little bit. Also, as you're doing this, make sure you sit your butt back like you're sitting looking for a chair, not leaning forward and putting all that pressure into your knees, okay? So on these, usually about 10, 15, nothing too cray-cray. Okay, ideally the arms are straight, extending through the elbows and the shoulders. But if your shoulders are still feeling a little crispy, warming up, and they tend to microbend a little bit, that's okay. Okay, so roughly 10 to 15, you can go as fast as you want, as slow as you want, as low as you want, as high as you want. Okay, our bodies all need different things. Much of our warm-up over time morphs because we figure out what our secret sauce is or our secret handshake is for our body to help it reach its optimal performance. Okay, from these, we're gonna take it through some stretches. Fingers all point in the same direction. Once again, if you're not using a pole, a corner of a wall works. Stall bars, if you're lucky to have some of those. My fingers are all pointing the same direction. My feet are at the base of the pole. Big breath in as I exhale. Lean it to the side. Okay, and I don't want my chest closed. I want it open as much as possible to the ceiling. The lower your hands are on the pole, the more intense the stretch is going to be. Bring it out when you're ready. Switch sides. Exhale as you lower into the stretch. Bring it out when you're ready. Hands about face chest height, feet at the base of the pole. Big breath in. As you exhale, drop your hips back, drop your head down between your arms, relax your shoulders, and let your shoulder blades slightly slide up your back. You're going to feel this nice stretch like that subscap, bottom of your shoulders area. And then once you're in this, you're going to crunch your booty to one side and crunch it to the other. And in doing this, you'll kind of feel a little bit more of a stretch on your lats, your obliques, on the side you're crunching away from. Okay, you can do a couple of these. Roll it up, more than a couple if it feels extra crispy on one side. Okay, from here, we're gonna put, this is going to be a little bit of a specific, or it is not just a little bit, it is shoulder warm up. So once again, as I said earlier, shoulders are one of the top injuries that we see in pull and arrow, so you really wanna make sure you're taking care of these. So this exercise is going to A, warm up your shoulders, B, strengthen your rotator cuff, which are the muscles that keep our shoulders functioning the way that we want them to, and C, added bonus, this is going to increase your range of motion flexibility-wise over time. So when you wanna grab your foot and pull it over your head, it'll be there for you. Okay, so for this one, you're gonna put your butt crack to the pull, your mid-back, think bottom of your scapulas, or if you're wearing a sports bra, bottom of your sports bra line roughly to the pole. I don't care if this part is touching the pole so much. I mean, try to keep it touching, but depending on the size of our booty, that kind of thing, everyone's a little bit different, and that's cool. Okay, so these 2 points are touching. Okay, from here, you're gonna go thumbs towards each other. Try to gently lock out your elbows, okay? Even if you have hyperextended elbows, just gently lock them out all the way. You're gonna keep those 2 points of contact. As you slowly raise your arms up as high as you can, you're gonna feel a spot where your back wants to do this because your shoulders don't wanna go any farther. When you get to the spot where your body wants to do that, really fight to keep those 2 points of contact, and you're gonna do 10 to 15 little pulses. Okay, and I'm really fighting to keep my elbows nice and straight. How close together your arms are, it's gonna vary person to person depending on how flexible your shoulders are, okay? Do try to have your armpits facing forward, and you can do these 2 different ways. You can do 2 sets if you want. 1 set with your shoulders pulled down away from your ears, 1 set with your shoulders elevated, okay? Both have value in our warm-up, okay? So 10 to 15, I'm keeping this part of my torso glued to the pole the entire time, okay? When you're done with those, you can shake them out because, sometimes the blood flow kind of diminishes to our fingers for a moment there. And then you're going to reach back up, interlace your fingers with a slight bend in your elbow, okay? You're going to squeeze your elbows together. So instead of my elbows being out, I'm going to squeeze them in. And on the exhale, I'm going to push my chest away and at the same time, try to extend my tricep, okay? So big breath in. Exhale as I press my armpits away, extending my arms up. Inhale, relax the press. Exhale, press away again. Okay, so on these, you're gonna do 3 to 5 of these. It's not just a flexibility strength, or it's not just a flexibility thing, it is a strength thing also. Okay, so really think about engaging that tricep, engaging those back muscles to push you away. If it feels like it's impossible to straighten your arms, scoot them farther at the pole. If it feels too easy, scoot them down the pole a little bit each time. Okay, so just 3 to 5 of these. Exhale, leaning away. Eyes can look up or straight ahead, it's up to you. Good, and then when you're ready, you can go ahead and bring them out. If you wanna do a second set of those shoulder pulses, this is a good place to put that in. Okay, and then now we're gonna turn to face the pole, take it to another shoulder stretch, ideally upper back as well. You're gonna stand with your feet about a foot, roughly 1/3 of a meter away from the pole. Put one hand on top of the other, okay? Doesn't matter which one, okay? Big breath in. As you exhale, you're gonna bring your sternum, the center of your chest, to the pole, okay? And if it feels like you can't get your sternum to the pole, scoot your feet closer so that you can, okay? So I'm gonna exhale, bring my sternum to the pole. I'm looking up towards the top. As I'm breathing in this, I'm thinking about trying to relax my chin and my chest and engage the muscles through my upper back and my shoulders to continue to push me into the pole. Once you get into that, you're gonna hold with your sternum to the pole. You're gonna think of trying to tuck your pelvis, okay, or pull your belly button away from the pole like someone's poking you in it without letting this point of contact leave. So once this touches the pole, don't let it leave, okay? So number 1, sternum goes to the pole. Number 2, tailbone tucks, belly button pulls away. Number 3, shoulders are going to try to reach farther up the pole. And when I say shoulders reach up, your chest placement is not gonna go up the pole. It's gonna stay in the same place, but you're gonna try and reach your arms up even farther. Okay, so it's gonna look like this. Big breath in,
Exhale, chest to the pole. Breathe in it for a second. You can slide down if you want to. Pull your belly button away, tucking your pelvis. Extend your arms up. Okay, and then if you want to slide it down, you can bend the knees a little bit and then extend. And just hang out there for a few breaths. You shouldn't feel this in your low back, okay? If you are feeling it in your low back, A, you're not tucking your pelvis enough. B, you're too far away from the pole, or you're getting a little more aggressive than your body is ready for yet. So like I said, you should not feel low back. You should feel upper back and shoulders, okay? From here, we're gonna go straight arm. You're going to flex your wrist back to this 90-degree angle, rest your wrist on the pole, exhale as you rotate away. So you're gonna feel this stretch through the front of the shoulder, the pec muscle. Keeping that wrist flexed, you're gonna wiggle your fingers like this in the middle of the stretch. And in doing that, you're gonna feel all these grabby muscles, that's a technical term, that you use to hold on for dear life while you're training that, quite often we forget to stretch out. You're gonna feel all those muscles super nervy and stretching, okay? So hang out there for a few breaths, wiggling those fingers. When you're ready to come out, that same arm is gonna grab the pole. You can wrap the thumb, not wrap the thumb, doesn't matter. My other shoulder is gonna start to close, but don't close it all the way. Close it to about a triangle pizza slice. Hollow your chest and lean away with the shoulder of the arm that's holding, okay? So I don't wanna close all the way to where I'm here, because then that actually, for those of you that have sensitive shoulders, that'll actually make your shoulder start to feel like it's sliding out. We don't want that. We want to gently stretch, not ruin, okay? So only close to a pizza slice triangle, lean away, couple of breaths, you feel that lovely stretch through the back of the shoulders, the rhomboids, all kinds of funsies muscles back there. And then when you're ready, you're gonna bring it out. We're gonna switch, same thing, the other side. Flex the wrist, rest your wrist on the pole. Exhale as you rotate away, and then wiggle, wiggle, wiggle those fingers. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Couple of breaths. Then when you're ready, grab a hold of the pole, close the other shoulder to a pizza slice, hollow your chest as you lean away, stretching out through the back of the shoulder and the upper back. Couple of breaths. Good. And we're going to go back to some leg things. Quite often, I see this happen. Pull and aerialists will spend 30 minutes stretching their splits, not touching their shoulders, and then go and do stuff on the pole that never once required their splits. Don't be that person, okay? Warm up your shoulders, okay? If you are warming up for some moves that do require your splits, yes, absolutely do that. But please don't neglect your shoulders, because we want to take care of them so they'll take care of you, okay? So we did some hip circles and things like that. Now we're going to take it to just some rotations, really focusing on those hips. You don't have to bring your knee high on these. The whole point is I want that rotation in the hip socket. So just going to make some circles. 3, 5, 10, pick a number. If it feels like it's extra sticky, try doing a few more, see if you can kind of loosen it up. Switch directions. And switch sides. I'm not even counting. I just kind of do a few and then I'm like, okay, it feels like it's kind of moving. And then I stop and switch directions or switch sides. Okay, so we're going the other direction. Okay, so both directions, both sides. If one side feels a little extra crispy, give a little extra love. Okay, we're gonna just touch on the hamstrings because, as we all know, pretty much every aerial apparatus requires some kind of inverting, or we're working towards our inverting, which does get into some hamstring flexibility, okay? If you have excessively tight hamstrings, you're definitely gonna wanna spend more than this, but this is our, once again, generic warm up. Okay, so for this one, knees are soft initially. Walk your hands down, however low you feel comfortable going, to where your hamstrings say, woohoo, hello, not to where your hamstrings are telling you to gouge your eyes out, okay? So go to where you feel a gentle stretch, okay? Go to that. It can be hands on the legs, hands on the floor, grabbing your elbows, whatever feels best for you, okay? So first you're gonna hang out here and just a little side to side, okay? So I'm just kind of little side to side with my hips, just a little rotation there, okay? Because remember, the hamstring is multiple muscles. It's not just the one that goes down the center, okay? So a few of those little side to sides. Then from here, kind of bend and straighten each leg. Whether it straightens all the way, that's going to depend on you and where you're at with your flexibility, but just think bend one leg a little bit more so it pushes you more into one, bend the other leg a little bit more so it pushes you into that one. And then now from here, we're going to glue our thighs to our chest. Arms can be same, whichever position you want them to be in. You're going to inhale as you glue your thighs to your chest. Exhale, only go to where your hamstrings say hello. in a slightly urgent tone, okay? So you should just feel them like 50, maybe 75% of their max, not to once again to the point where they feel like they're about to, disappoint you and do things you don't want them to do. Okay, so inhale, bend, glue your thighs to your chest. Exhale, extend. I'm gonna do about 5 of these. You can do more if you want to. Good. And then when you're ready to come up, gently bend the knees, roll it up through the spine. Take your time. You don't want to give yourself a head rush. Last little bit on the hips. A lot of aerial apparatuses, especially pole, we have those leg hangs and hooks, and that does require some weird rotations of our hips that we generally don't use in our everyday life. Okay? Well, some people do more than others, but the average population doesn't so much. So for this one, you can do this one sitting on the, or laying, I should say, laying on the floor or standing up. You're going to take an ankle and put it to your knee. Okay, like you're crossing your legs sitting in a chair. Then from there, holding on to the pole, you're gonna lean back and sit down into it. When I sit down, I'm gonna drop the hip of that bent leg. Okay, you're gonna feel that stretch through the hip. Like I said, this is a good one to help you stretch out for your leg hangs. Hang out in that for a moment. And then bring it out when you're ready. Same thing to the other side. Ankle to knee, drop the hip. Okay, and for this one, if it feels really hard to get that ankle to your hip, if you're like, oh my gosh, I need to use my hand for it, or the stretch just feels extremely stiff for you, I'd recommend taking it to the ground. You can just use a wall. You don't need to use the pole. You're gonna lay on your back, put one foot up against the wall or the pole. The closer your butt is to whatever that object is your foot is on, the more intense the stretch is gonna be. Okay, so you're gonna put one foot on there. The other foot, now you can use your hands because they're free. You can grab that hand, place your ankle at your knee, and then you can put a hand on this knee and gently press into that stretch. Okay, so this is a nice modification on this. Like I said, if the standing one feels like your foot keeps sliding off your knee, or you feel like you're not getting as deep in the stretch or not able to get into the stretch, this is a good variation on it. Okay, and like I said, the closer your butt is to the wall or whatever your foot is on, the more intense it is. Likewise, the farther away you are, the less intense it is. Okay, so this concludes our warm-up. As I said at the beginning, this is your generic warm-up, like, okay, you're about to train, you're not about to do any Fonji 360s or Rainbow Marchenkos, anything like that. You're just doing your regular training stuff, okay? If for some reason you are working on something that requires some excessive flexibility, this is where you would then do those specific movements that prep for that, okay? But this is your go-to, I'm getting ready to train, what do I do to warm myself up so that I am less likely to injure myself, okay? Warm-up is very important. Like I said, it's not just meant to kind of get everything going, it's also a chance for you to check in with your body and see how things are feeling, okay? Sometimes something feels a little funny when we first start, maybe you're doing those shoulder rotations, you're like, oh, my shoulder is not feeling, and then you do a few circles, and your shoulder feels fine, okay? It could be you just slept on it funny and it just needed to move, okay? Or it could be you do some of those circles and it feels worse, and that's kind of a little note to self of, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't train today. Maybe instead I should just do some gentle stretching and go about my day, live to train another day, okay? Really important. Listen to your body. Take care of your body so that it will take care of you. Our bodies do amazing things, but we have to take care of them, and that includes your warm-up. So I hope this warm-up was helpful for you on this. Like I said, if you are going into more specific moves, add on to this. You, of course, can do another round of this. You can intensify any of these. You can do less of these, more of these. The numbers are just recommendations. Everybody's body is different. You have to figure out which moves work best for your body.